Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
We are now going to look at flow past a spinning cylinder, but with viscous effects. So, the full Navier-Stokes, and we are going to compare it with what we have just seen for potential flows, okay, for a circular cylinder. We are also going to look at what is the effect of 3 dimensions, so some 3-dimensional instabilities. So, let me recall for you the problem setup. So, there is flow coming in towards the cylinder. The free stream speed is u, r is the radius of the cylinder. There are 2 parameters. The first is the ratio of the rotation speed at the tip of the cylinder, so that is omega r, non-dimensionalized with the free stream speed, so that is alpha. And now the second one is the Reynolds number. Of course, when we looked at the blackboard, there we were looking at the potential flow, so there is no Reynolds number there, or you could think of Reynolds number being infinity. Okay. So, this is the story so far. If we look at the potential flow, what we just saw, that if you have alpha less than 2, okay, that number on the gamma, then you would get 2 stagnation points which are symmetrically located about the y axis, and these are the streamlines which I had sketched on the blackboard for you. So, those are the streamlines on the lower surface and then the upper surface, and they are separated by the stagnation streamline. The surface of the cylinder is a streamline, and then there are these 2 streamlines that straddle the cylinder. Specifically at alpha equal to 2, you get one single stagnation point, and that is at theta equal to pi by 2, and these are the streamlines that we just saw on the blackboard, and then these other streamlines, they go below the surface of the cylinder and so on. The interesting part is when alpha goes more than 2.0. So, we are now spinning the cylinder so that the tip speed is more than twice that of the free stream, and now we get this ring. Okay. So, there is a ring of fluid that spins with the cylinder, not at the same speed, the speed is different, but these are streamlines now which are closed, and then you get the stagnation point, and the streamlines, they come below it and far away, they would again align with the flow. So, this is called as the Robbins-Magnus effect, as we just discussed, and the lift is rho u times gamma, where gamma is the circulation. So, lift is directly proportional to circulation. If you increase the circulation, the lift also increases. So, that is the potential flow. Now, the question we want to ask is, what happens if you have viscosity? So, I am going to show you some results for a Reynolds number 200 flow. Remember, for Reynolds number 200 at alpha equal to 0, we are going to see vortex shedding, it will be an unsteady flow. So, let us look at the pictures. So, these are 2-dimensional direct numerical simulations by integrating the Navier-Stokes equations, okay, the complete Navier-Stokes, but in 2 dimensions. So, this is what is found. Again, alpha is the rotation rate. The first frame here is alpha equal to 0, and that is the vorticity field. Towards the end of the blackboard work, I brought your attention to the fact that for the potential flow, the vorticity is 0 everywhere. Not so for the viscous flow. Vorticity is generated on the surface of the cylinder because of the boundary layer, and then it is shed, so you get the Kármán vortex street. As you increase alpha, actually the vortex shedding becomes weaker, and the wake starts tilting upwards. Till at about alpha equal to 2, you get a steady flow. So, the vortex shedding completely ceases. In fact, that is shown here in the graph for CL versus CD. Now, if you notice at alpha equal to 0, the CD is finite, it is a little bit more than 1, the drag coefficient, and the lift coefficient is 0. And as we increase the alpha, the lift coefficient in fact becomes more negative, so it departs from 0 and the drag coefficient actually starts decreasing. And something extremely interesting happens at a rotation rate of around 4.3. The flow which had become steady, it starts doing another vortex shedding. So in fact what is happening here is, if you look at the picture at 2, there is blue vorticity on the top and red vorticity from the bottom. Okay? So the blue colored vorticity from the curl of the fingers, you can see that it is going inward. Okay? So this is a two-dimensional flow. So blue is negative, so it is going into the plane of the screen. Red is positive, it is coming out of the plane of the screen. So that is the situation at alpha equal to 2. As you increase alpha, this vorticity kind of wraps around the cylinder, and you would see that after some time, especially at alpha equal to 4, the red vorticity comes at the top and the blue vorticity at the bottom. So in fact this vorticity, because of the rotation of the cylinder, it is a viscous flow now, wraps around it. So the blue one goes below and the red one comes on the top. And this now becomes unstable at a larger spin rate of about 4.4. And finally, when the spin rate goes to 5, the flow again becomes steady. So it is a very interesting flow. Okay. This was not known before, the second instability. So the first instability of the vortex sheet was known, but this one was actually discovered by our group in this very interesting paper. If you get time, you might want to look at it. Shown here are the close-up of now the time histories. It's a simplified picture. So the x-axis is time, the y-axis is the lift coefficient. So you will notice the first frame is for alpha equal to 0 when the cylinder is not spinning. Because of vortex shedding, you get a time varying force, but the mean value is 0. And as alpha increases, you get, because of the Robbins-Magnus effect, a larger time averaged lift force. So you can see as you keep increasing alpha, your lift force keeps increasing till at about alpha of 4.4 or so, when again the flow becomes highly unsteady and you get vortex shedding. Finally at about alpha 5, again the flow becomes steady. What happens in 3 dimension? Does the flow remain 2-dimensional all the time? The answer is no. So this time we have done 3-dimensional direct numerical simulation. So DNS is direct numerical simulation. You take the full Navier-Stokes equations, use a finite element method on a grid, and then do these calculations on a computer. And this is what we were able to see. So for Reynolds number of 200 and alpha equal to 5, that means the 2-dimensional flow predicts that the flow is steady. But when we did the full 3-dimensional simulation, then it turns out that at different times you get these centrifugal instabilities. Okay? And you can see this is the first vortex that is being released, it is getting twisted. So the question is, what happens to it if we run this simulation for a long time? This simulation is at 27 eddy turnover time. That means if my convection speed is u, the free stream speed is u, the diameter is d, then I can come up with a non-dimensional time using the free stream speed and the diameter, and it is 27 non-dimensional time units. What happens if I run it longer? Okay, will the flow come back to being steady or something else? So these simulations were done for various values of alpha. So especially for alpha equal to 5, we see that initially it shows some instability, but finally the flow becomes steady. At 4.5, we had seen earlier in 2 dimensions, you get vortex shedding, that is that, and these are other alphas. So I'll wrap up with a picture in 3 dimensions. So you can see at alpha equal to 0, the flow is fairly 2-dimensional. You get some 3-dimensionality at larger alphas, so you can see 3-dimensionally at 3.5. At 4.5, the flow is highly 3-dimensional, and then it again becomes kind of steady at and 2-dimensional at alpha equal to 5. So we will stop here, and I hope you got a flavor of the difference between the potential flows and the viscous flows. Thank you very much.